Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming to our after church tea time here in the Unionism a spiritual discussion group. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and you like this video. Awesome. So that was a great sermon. It was really interesting to hear Ajahn talk more deeply about the purpose of an animal. I know all of you have cats and dogs and pets. So I'm going to open the floor. What did this mean to you guys as you're building a relationship with your animal? Specifically, I know some of you guys have revealed them as soul pets, and Ajahn was also referring to that. What came up for you guys?
Well, I can definitely share about the purpose of my cats. That is something that really stood out to me in this amazing sermon by Ajahn. And well, you can easily see my cat tree behind me, and my cats are currently enjoying their lunch or dinner or whatever, And yeah, I was really reflecting on their purpose. It's like, well, why are they in my life? Is it just to bring fun and enjoy some playtime with them here and there? I think that's definitely the case, but there's much more to that. And I feel there's a lot of life purpose partnering potential with my cats as well. And they already do, just having that cat tree behind me adds to videos I do. For example, if they chill out there and maybe they stretch a bit, it really gives this nice vibe sometimes. Sometimes they are also really loud and annoying, and then they need some discipline, Yeah, that happens when I'm conducting a meditation, and it's like suddenly a wild cat runs through the room. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to exploring that purpose deeper, and to develop that further.
Helping you heal all your blocks.
Love that. Mark, you had something?
Yeah, I was just laughing at the image of the cat jumping through because I saw this like space cat. And I thought, cats, they have a purpose in giving us space cats. I don't know what that meme is, like the cat in space.
Nyan cat.
My cats are always trying to get into my videos, trying to get into my Zoom calls. And I've also been thinking about their purpose. I've had actually a few pet healing sessions with Ajahn. I know we, in a discussion group, Ajahn was saying, he's going to get his pet healing services up and running, and I was waiting for it. And when the post came on Facebook offering free reading for people who sign up, I was like number one. I was right up there. Like, yes, I was waiting for this. And Ajahn actually helped me a lot with my cat Miso, who every couple of months would randomly pee on something. He would be happily sleeping in my dog's bed with my dog, loving it up, and then the next day he'd pee in it. Which is like, okay, dude, you like that bed. Why are you peeing in it? And so Ajahn really helped me to see why
you're pissing on yourself.
Well, it was like anger. It's like anger that he was expressing that I wasn't expressing. Because I had all this pent up anger, and I know that other people have gone through that. When you come into your union, when you come into your true divine sexuality, there's often a lot of anger to release that's been suppressed. And so I feel Misa's purpose has been to really help me with my masculinity. And ever since I came out to myself, he's been letting me touch him more. He's been more affectionate. He was always affectionate with other people, but a little bit uncomfortable with me. I could tell he loved me, but he didn't really want to be close to me because something didn't feel good to him. And he's extremely sensitive. So I've been really appreciating having a deeper understanding of that relationship with him. And when he pees on something, it's when I'm really, really not feeling my feelings. And he's like, hey, dude, come on, you're not getting the messages. Otherwise, he'll do like little things like start chewing on the plants, or he'll start attacking toilet paper. But it's always when I'm in an upset and not recognizing it in myself. So now I've learned, okay, thanks, guy. I'll take the message. Let's not escalate the contrast even further. Right. My other cat, Maurice, is definitely a soul pet. He'll just come love me. Just, especially if I'm not feeling well or if I'm doing inner work, he'll just come and he'll just bring the love. Just be on me and just giving that unconditional love. And then I have a dog, Maya, who I'm still trying to figure out what her purpose is, but she definitely just helps me to connect with play and with joy. She's such a happy girl. And currently, actually, just 2 days ago, God gave me the final little prod to actually take some action in getting my second dog. I've been planning on doing it for 2 years and always had excuses why I shouldn't do it. And then I just realized, okay, it's time. And within 10 minutes of volunteering to foster a dog, the shelter that I contacted sent me an email with another dog that needed a foster, whose foster suddenly canceled. And when I saw the picture of the dog, I just had this emotional oh, yes, this is the dog. So currently she's still stuck in Mexico. Her flight bombed out due to COVID, but might be having a second dog within the next days or weeks. And I would love to just, share that journey and work with Arjun and, really go deeper into the purpose of having so many animals, yeah, so that's, sorry, I was rambling a little bit, but I really love doing energy healing work with my pets and just really going deeper and, deepening that relationship with God through animals.
Love that. Andy and Natalie, I know you guys both have cats too. What's been your experience with your pets?
Yeah, I wanted to share a story about my first cat, Puma. And when we got him first, we were not in the community, and Nikki literally found him out in the middle of the street, laying straight to the sun, and it was like a godsend. And she took him, and obviously we were not in the community that time, so we didn't know how to act with our soul pet. Obviously, we didn't know how to act with each other either. So yeah, he died, and right after we joined the community in August, he came back where in the restaurant that Nikki used to work, and he literally when we made the calculations, he literally reincarnated a week after he died. Yeah, and we lately discovered that his purpose is emotional support, and whenever in his past life, whenever we used to abuse ourselves, he used to mirror this to us, and he after some time died. Now that he reincarnated and he's 1 year and 2 or 3 months old now, he, whenever we have an upset, he starts to meow, and it's very obvious that his purpose is emotional support.
That's really sweet. Yeah, just pointing it out, loving and guiding you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I love Puma. He's so cute.
Yeah. Natalie, I know you had a whole fiesta with kitties galore at one point. With your cat, right? Your cat was pregnant at one point. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, she was pregnant. That was a lot. Yeah. We found all the kittens really good families, though. We decided to not keep any of them. Yeah, she's a really wonderful cat. She's definitely our soul pet. As you guys were all talking, I was thinking of like, what came up for me was like I resonated with everybody basically. She definitely mirrors us. Very clear when we're when we're at peace and we're like really centered in love, then she's like the most cuddly, like licks us and loves us so much, and it's beautiful. And then when we're upset or we have like an upset come up, she definitely mirrors that to us. So it's beautiful to like, she's a very direct way to like become aware of like when an upset is in our consciousness, because I feel like a lot of how we numb out and sometimes like we're not aware that we're even upset yet, or we don't know what we're upset about. And it's like she's like a perfect like simple kind of like physical example or like a reflection to just be like, oh, okay, there's an upset here, let's heal it. What else? She definitely loves to play a lot. She is always taking me out of my comfort zone. Whenever I'm like resting or kind of just like in upheaval, she'll like come bring me a toy in her mouth like a dog, and she's like, play with me, play with me. So it's amazing. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that I really enjoy in this process or journey with our cat is actually where we live, cats are like stray animals. Like there's many cats in the street. So for some reason, like our country kind of treats cats like they're not divine. And a lot of people kind of develop like a hatred towards cats. And all these like limiting beliefs around like cats are mean, cats are selfish, cats are whatever, dogs are better, like all this stuff. So every time like guests come over or family members, we're always showing them the truth, and we're always like opening them up to like a world of like cats are love, cats are divine, and they end up like falling in love with her. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I love that you're saying this. It's because like this whole time hearing everybody talk about cats, and like I've just seen a lot about cats. She's in love with cats. I have not had good experience with cats at all. And I felt the same way as like what you were speaking about with your country and like how they're perceiving it. I've just not had good relationships with cats. And so I'm also allergic to dander. And it's very uncommon to find a hyperallergenic cat in general. So yeah, I really never got to experience cats, and I had all these upsets. So hearing you guys talk about it and like being able to see all these things regarding that, and then also like in the sermon, Ajahn was saying how you can't just like kind of wash like one brush stroke around animals. Like each animal has their own personality and is good in intention when they're born, and like even recognizing like how an animal is a reflection of their owner. And so therefore, like if you're experiencing someone's cat and they're like mean and aggressive or something like that, that's a reflection of that, and like that cat's personality. And like I'm starting to like heal that, and I really appreciate everybody sharing about cats. So Mark, is there anything in the comments?
So there were just a few people that basically said that they're really resonating with what we're saying as well. They can sit and talk about their animals all day. We just actually got something from Cassandra. Whenever I get anxious or upset, my dog always tries to climb into my lap, and then after a few minutes tries to get me to play or to distract me. And my cat mirrors me a lot when I practice rituals related to my faith. So what I actually wanted to say about what this brings up is that, animals are very grounding. And so they really help us to engage with nature and with the earth. And even just something silly like, Natalie, like your cat bringing you a toy when you're in upheaval, it's a grounding thing, because to play is grounding. To move your body, to be present in your physical surroundings, that's grounding. So, and when you're in upheaval as well, grounding is really important. So that's actually intentional. It's not, something that's coincidence. And with regards to animal allergies or, things where it doesn't feel good, that really there's always something for us to heal there, right? From what I've seen with some of my friends, a lot of those things were really, childhood experiences. And a lot of that you can heal with the mind alignment process. I know some of our friends in the community have healed their cat allergies through doing, mind alignment process. So something like that is actually not something that is a limiting factor. It's just an opportunity to go deeper and an opportunity to understand yourself. What is it that happened that made me want to protect myself in this way? And what does like a cat symbolize to me there? So it's a really beautiful gift. So I'm just looking, there's another comment that we just got. So animals have a free choice, right? Why are there some experiencing abuse, for example, in the beauty industry? And why do some animals have twin flames and some do not? I believe that animals don't have twin flames, isn't that correct?
I think that Shaleia said swans do, and they're the only ones that do. That's what I remember.
A
Okay,
few
cool.
animals have twin flames, and that are usually animals that mate for life. So they are like swans and a few other animals.
Like penguins.
Penguins. I was literally about to
Penguins,
just say
yeah.
penguins. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 And the other question was around the abuse that animals receive. Anybody want to take that one?
I think I may be wrong, but I think it's just animals have souls just like we do, and their soul chooses, their life story or whatnot. And, so they chose to incarnate in a specific body that was used, or, I guess the intention was to serve the beauty industry. But yeah, like it's probably maybe like you spoke about unhealed trauma from other lifetimes. It could be just like a part of their karmic process or something, but definitely has to do with like their soul's choice, right? Like,
Amen. I agree. And like she had also kind of asked about free will too. And yes, I mean, like from my understanding, everything created with the consciousness from God has free will. So yeah. Cool. Ajin actually said allergies are a manifestation of upsets, and Gabe healed this with cats. Yeah.
I wanted to add for you that Yanir, my divine masculine, he actually really disliked cats. Like he had an issue with cats. I think he also mentioned feeling allergic at one point. I think like a stray cat had like decided to have birth in his room where he lived, like, and he was really traumatized by it. But today, after like healing with our cat, he's literally in love with her. Like I've never seen him so in love with an animal. So I'm just sharing that so that you have like, you're aware that like your upsets around cats can definitely be healed. And
definitely. Yeah, for me it's like interesting. I didn't have any like specific bad experiences with the cats, just that like they never wanted to be around me. And like I think also it was, like I would go to my grandma's all the time, and she had like 8 cats, so it was like a hoarding thing. So maybe it's something to do with that. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into it deeper. And how great that we have these these processes like MAP and coaching sessions with Ajin around pets and things like that to heal some of this stuff, because it's obvious that we have a cat as a soul pet. Stacia really loves cats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I used to be really, really allergic to cats.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny.
My eyes would just be like poofy and I couldn't breathe. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
So like your healing's very close.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like also like I mean obviously I'm allergic to dogs too because it's dander. It's not like I'm allergic to cats. I'm allergic to all animals that have dander.
Only cats.
Only cats. And I've always only had breeds that were poodles. And I was just thinking about this, like I've been working through an upset around intelligence, and poodles are mentioned to be like the most intelligent dog breed. And so it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like that's mirroring my upset. Like I'm like of me feeling like only one breed is intelligent or something, but the one that I can have. So yeah, like it's really cool how animals are here as a support system for us to all just like go deeper into a relationship with God. I think that's really cool. And you know, we mentioned in the sermon also about the deer that was in our backyard. Like we see signs about like animals all the time, like in the wild, like not even soul pets, just like animals in general. And it's always been like, at least to us, it's always been like this message from God, like not even intentionally from the animal, but yeah, like there's so much to that too. Cool.
I wanted to actually share something.
Sure.
I'm really glad you guys used the Spirit Animals deck. It's actually one of my favorites. But I wanted to just quickly tell people that there are a couple of other ones as well. And if you really want to go deeper into like spirit animals and this one, medicine cards, it's fantastic. The book that comes with it, they basically, this is a shamanic deck. It's pretty serious, you know, and in the book they guide you to how you can find your totem animals. I think there are like 7, like you have 2 totem animals that are like left and right spirit animals, and then 5 totem animals. So together it's like 7. And this is like fixed. It doesn't change. And so there's like an invocation for like setting the intention to connect with your totem animals and then doing that spread to find it, which is really cool. So I've really been enjoying this this deck, and the Stacey DeMarco Divine Animals Oracle is also really good. It's kind of got the similar vibe to the Colette Baron Reed one, but these are like 3 of the the animal-based decks that I've found that are really, really good. And you'll also, like, once you know your spirit animals and your totem animals, you'll also start recognizing that those animals actually do give you signs in real life. So after I did the reading with medicine cards and I realized my left and right spirit animals, one is a mountain lion and one is a bear. And I saw the mountain lion today in the meditation, you start noticing little signs like from those spirit animals. And when you have the booklet, you can kind of see what they each represent, what qualities they represent, what they're trying to help you heal, and so that's like with the lion, for me, it's embracing my inner power, the thing that I've been trying to hide in the feminine body, so that's really, really cool. I'd really recommend that you do that. In terms of the allergies, something that I saw and have been working through myself, not with pet allergies, but with other kinds of allergies. When you're allergic to things, they actually say, well, what are you really allergic to? And when you do the mirror exercise, you're allergic to yourself. If you really take it all the way in. And obviously there are other different elements to it, but there's something within yourself that you're allergic to, something that you're rejecting or denying or fighting. And with cats, they're really sensitive to anything that doesn't completely feel right. And when, in our case, if you're walking around trying to hide who you are, pretending to be something else, they're not going to want to come close to you. So that might also be why you experience some of that rejection as a child from the cats. And that is like mirroring your own self-rejection. So there's a lot of healing there. Yeah. We don't have any new comments, but that was a little piece I wanted to share.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah, I wanted to go deeper into like how you guys felt about Karina's meditation, and if there was a spirit animal that came up for you, or if you've gone deeper into kind of feeling that out, like Mark said, if you guys have any kind of feelings around what animal represents you, what's your spirit animal?
Yeah, I can share about that. I was actually, guided to go for a walk, and I ended up on the beautiful bench in the park right before the meditation started. And, Karina did a really great job there. And I was like, oh, yes, we're going to receive our spirit animal now. And yeah, even for those people that have not received anything, they can just, rewatch that whole thing, and ultimately they're going to receive the spirit animal. But I felt definitely very strongly this presence of an eagle. And, I had a nice confirmation about that eagle as my spirit animal, because there was this huge bird basically flying in front of me and like making some noise with his wings, and I was like, that's a really cool confirmation. And I connected with that vibration, or with that energy of the eagle. And it really gave me this precision, clarity, clear vision, not being too narrow in your focus and attention, but seeing the bigger picture, basically. And yet the eagle is like really like focused, and like, can also be very like a surgeon, very precise, and I love that. Yeah, I feel really good about my spirit animal there, and I'm not sure if these can change. I think Mark mentioned they can't, right? They are solidified, but it feels great. Yeah.
So I don't know what the other theories are, but I mean, specifically the shamanic oracle deck, which is very much based on, I believe, Native American, lore. You have a left and a right side spirit animal, and then those 5 totem animals, and they don't change. But it'll be interesting for you to go deeper into that and just like do your own meditations. I know in more like Western, spirituality, people just think about a spirit animal. So there must be different schools of thought, and it'd be interesting if there are people in the community that have experience with this. It would be really great if they can, post some comments or share about that. But yeah, it's really, there's a lot to go deeper into here, which is really awesome.
Yeah, good that you bring that up, because you know how there's like all those site generators online for different things like horoscopes and whatnot. I did like a bunch on my spirit animal, and it always is a deer, except for this one time it ended up being a tiger. So like there's something with that.
It's funny because I get the same thing. Like
Deer and tiger?
The deer was, the deer is the one that I saw in the meditation. And like I see deer all the time. I feel so like emotional whenever I think about deer. I don't know why. It's weird.
Be freaking out on the road.
We came into Harmonious Union, and then like all of a sudden
deer.
there's this peaceful deer in our backyard, just like loving us up and
It
not
just
afraid
sat there
of
for
us.
hours.
Like it was just beautiful.
It was really nuts. The neighbor lady was like, I've never seen a deer do that.
Just hanging out and eating grass while we were out on our porch, like chilling with us. It just, I don't know. I never experienced an animal like that before.
Love that deer.
Yeah, that was really sweet. And then, yeah, like the tiger thing too. But yeah, like there are lots of schools of thought. For me, like I think the unionist perspective on all of this is that like we are one with all animals, and that whatever animal gives you like that feeling that Fabian talked about that helps you to better understand yourself. I think Ajahn said like, what are you learning about yourself? And that's like the purpose of an animal, like the relationship with the animal, not a codependency. And so like, yeah, animals are just there to help us go deeper into our own reflection of like how we feel about ourselves. And yeah, it's beautiful. I also wanted to talk too about like I recently watched Pocahontas and Pocahontas 2. And in Pocahontas 2, like Pocahontas goes to the sorry, we have crazy trucks drive by our house. Pocahontas 2, the king has her come to this ball. And at the ball, they want to try and like make Pocahontas look like a savage. And so they like have this bear in chains and they're like poking the bear with a stick thing and just hurting the bear, torturing the bear. And they're laughing at it. And Pocahontas just goes up to the bear and like, stop hurting the bear, and just comforts the bear. And like, you know, we always like perceive animals like we're so afraid of them. And like I love this concept. Like I love how Native Americans have just really honored and loved and just felt like not afraid of animals. Yeah, like just seeing animals as like God's creation. And like you can't just love part of God's creation. You must love all of God's creation. Yeah, that really resonated for me when I heard Ajahn talk about that, and like when I like experienced like seeing that in the world today. Because you know, like I even think about sharks, and a lot of people have a lot of upsets with sharks. And yet I feel like there's the statistics, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but like more people die in like car accidents or in a lightning strike than actually getting eaten and killed by a shark. But yet we're so afraid of them. And yeah, so there's something to that for me. Like it's like, yeah.
Well, there's definitely some animals that are meant to stay in the wild. You know, like I would never go out and get a tiger and bring it into my house.
Well, amen. Like think about the Tiger King situation too. That's like really inappropriate for the animal too, right? I
never saw that, but
you didn't. Okay. Well, yeah.
I mean, want to, but
it was there, right? It's on Netflix. Everybody was watching it. But there is something to that, like what you're saying. And I think Ajahn even brought that up of like how we're really healing, like how we're really healing into like allowing animals to just be living their purpose.
And I was thinking about spiders too.
Yeah.
Spiders eat a lot of the other bugs, so they're like really important. And I was like, you know what?
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate spiders more, because if they weren't around, like
it would be
how many
bugs
would be out
with
there?
flies,
Like,
right. And so like it's the circle of life. Lion King, right? Like it's the circle of life. Thank you for sharing your scene with us. Yeah, like, you know, every single animal is important and purposeful to help the society we live in today. And yeah, I just
Mark's got the next piece.
Mark's got the
I
next piece.
actually just thought again about Pocahontas because I watched it pretty recently, and you know, when that old tree, I can't remember what they call her, but which basically
Willow. They call her Willow. Grandma
Right.
Willow.
The whole like message there in that movie really is like coexisting with nature in harmony and peace. Whereas, you know, the kind of Europeans coming in wanted to control it, wanted to use it. And like for instance, getting a tiger, you know, in an enclosure, that's trying to use it, trying to control it and make it yours. You know, we can have this relationship with the animals spiritually. We don't have to be in front of the animal to have that relationship. Just like with your twin flame journey, you don't have to be in front of your twin flame to have that relationship. Like you're connected. And yeah, so that it just really made me think of Pocahontas. And there really is a lot of like healing around this in those like childhood, like in like Disney movies and things like that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We have a few more comments. Let me just see. Yeah, just people like sharing their experiences. And Aubrey mentioned that she really loved what Ajahn said about the judgment about different breeds of animals. You know, that's something we're releasing as well. But just feeling into like animals having karma, you know, there might be some animals that, you know, incarnate in some of those breeds because that's where they keep experiencing those things where they haven't healed yet, you know. So it's all just a vehicle of healing, the breed, the body, you know, just like
yeah, exactly. And like we're healing that in consciousness right now, like within the LGBTQ community and the Black Lives Matter like, you know, movement as well. Like it's obvious that we're all healing this concept around separation and that something can be bad, right? It's like seeing, like when you look at a person, and this reflects back on the song that Nikki sang, which was just so freaking beautiful. I was like in tears. You know, that God is in all of us, is in all things, is one with us. And so like that goes for animals too. And so anytime that like we fear an animal or we see something bad in an animal, that's really just our belief. Like I believe in separation and like ego, and not so much as the like divinity of the purpose of that animal. Yeah, because like I think the reason why anyone would fear an animal is that they think that the animal would take their power away. And I love also like what Ajahn said, like this takes me to the other point. Ajahn mentioned like animals aren't our source, because a lot of people see that. Yeah. Were there any other comments? I think Ajahn mentioned something too.
Yeah.
What did Ajahn say?
He said, when Native Americans go on a fast, which means vision quest, they will be visited by their spirit animal.
Aw.
Oh, this other one.
That's the part
Oh, here you go.
Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Ashen, for being in the comments. There are definitely dogs that's purpose is to be guardians, but it's about balance. This guy I knew had 2 Dobermans. They were super sweet and affectionate, but if I went to his house when he wasn't home, I wasn't getting out of my car. That was their job. Yeah, so it's like, you know, I love that. It's basically like the animal is doing its purpose. So like, you know, don't interfere with its purpose. Is basically, I think, what I get from that, you know, don't interfere with its purpose.
Yeah, I want to add, I think like there can be a very thin line between like perceiving an animal as being abusive or like violent versus just an animal setting a boundary. And also how important it is to like begin to teach children that like all animals are like innocent and safe and loving, and like if they do like, you know, what you just mentioned, it's because they're setting boundaries. It's because they're fulfilling their purpose, and not because they're inherently evil or like bad. Like no animal is like cruel at its core, you know.
Of course, and that's the same way with humans too. It's funny because people like it's actually helpful, because like if they're setting that boundary, like that typically would mean like there's a codependency there, right? Or there's like an inappropriate behavior. How cool that the animals are so good at like disciplining consciousness in that way. You know, it's the same thing with like if you like see a baby, you know, animal or whatever out in the wild, the mama bear is gonna like go crazy, you know. It's that same sort of thing, like you know, you don't mess with me. Like I love that, you know, humans could really learn from that, having those boundaries and honoring their divinity in that way. That's really cool. Thank you for that piece. That was really good.
I was wondering if there are like specific situations where like children of God have soul pets that are like wild animals.
Yeah, he was saying wild animals. I don't think so, because their purpose would be to be in the wild. So then I wouldn't understand like
ecology.
The ecology of why that animal would have the purpose. The only thing I can think of is like, yeah, I don't know, like if a person was like living in the wild and like they're like no, but I mean like if their purpose had something to do with the wild, like there's other, for instance.
You mean like the petting zoo? Like
I mean, I don't know if I really believe in zoos and stuff,
Yeah,
to
I
be
don't
honest
like
with you.
zoos,
but that's a totally different story. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, for instance, in India, right? Like, they have like elephants and stuff like that, like, or in different countries, like we have horses, or people, have donkeys and things like that, or they have cows because the cow is they have a dairy farm, like they have a relationship with the cows, right? Like, I feel like maybe in that scenario, but I don't even know if that could be a soul pet. I'm gonna ask Aja on that.
mean, what about monkeys? Like, I know
That's what I just wanted to say.
I
Like,
know that
Aubrey mentioned Jane Goodall.
Let's all not talk at once.
You know, Jane Goodall certainly must have had some soul pets among those, monkeys.
And I also heard that Jeff and Shaleia have dolphins as soul pets. I don't know if this is true. I heard it from someone. I think the whole because soul pets like are always with you eternally, doesn't mean that they have to be like in your house. Like,
sure.
Like, they could be your soul pet, but you don't have to like live with like a wild whatever, like lion or but yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have a lion in my living room. I'm just gonna go chill with my lion and
right.
not so much.
Yeah, like you let the animal live its purpose, but its purpose gives you some form of like healing in some sense. There's a relationship.
Yeah, it's just like a spiritual relationship, like a spiritual connection, I think.
Cool.
Yeah,
that
so
would
I
make
guess
sense.
the answer would be yes.
Cool.
It reminds me of Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy.
Really? Why?
He has a monkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like definitely his soul pet.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen people with pigs too. Like,
I knew a girl that had a pig too. Yeah.
I mean, pigs are cute, all animals are beautiful. But people even have spiders as pets.
Ducks.
Ducks.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Natalie really gave us a lot of clarity there.
Ajin said, it's really about the connection you feel with the animal in your heart.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah. How did everybody else feel about the song? I know it kind of also touched on other touch points other than animals, but what did the song bring up for you guys? I love that song, by the way. It's one of my favorite songs.
It was very grounding to me. When I was listening to it, I felt like I was like on a bus, and I was just seeing the world and just going in my journey and just seeing everything and seeing God's creations, like mountains, animals, everything. And it was like really like capturing the whole bigger picture as a song.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, for me, like, I just like as an Ascension coach, like I was like watching that, and it was like, to me, it was like God saying, like, help the stranger on the bus find his way home, help that person find their way home. That's something that, as I'm on the bus with them, as I'm going through my ascension, helping them also to have that too. Like, that felt really good. And yeah, like, just the Pope part was really funny to me. seeing Pope.
I think we lost you guys, but something that I really loved is the change of the wording, because it always felt energetically really bad for me when I listened to the song and it said just a slob like one of us. I didn't want to feel that I'm just a slob.
But like, just, yeah, recognizing that, yeah.
So your internet's been being a little strange. We lost you there for a while.
Okay. We're back? All good? Okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay.
I have no idea. We didn't touch anything.
Yeah. So it said security warning. Anyway, how is everybody feeling? Do we feel complete? Is there anything else you felt like you wanted to bring up?
Something else I loved about the sermon was that, it can be divine. I'm not sure if you mentioned that it can be divine to go hunting for animals. I found that part to be very healing, As Arjun say, there's maybe some upset still to be cleared out in consciousness about it, but it comes down to the purpose of each animal, and if done properly, it can be divine to go hunting and to hunt animals. And the purpose of certain animals is to help us produce food as well. And so there's a lot of purpose in animals that allows certain things in a divine way, that we still have to understand that it's actually divine to go hunting and to produce meat and to eat meat and to enjoy meat, because animals are not human beings. Animals have a very specific purpose, and in general, I would say they're here to support us, right? To help us.
Yeah, I agree. I love that you brought that up, because when I took ecology, it was at that time it was saying like there were like too many damn deer. It was like we need more hunters. There's too many deer.
Yeah, and there was something about like how with COVID, there were more animals, because typically animals have get run over because of a lot of the driving that happens. And so like there were just tons of animals, like even in the streets of New York, people saw like animals randomly like walking around the streets because no one was there for such a long time during COVID, during the quarantine. So yeah, like it just goes to show there is a purpose to hunting. And yeah, like I really love the way that like the Native Americans did it. I mean, like, I don't know, we don't need to like dance around a fire anymore to like celebrate an animal's life, but it's really honoring like our food. And I think that like that also like ties in the divine dish and like what we're doing with that too. Everything's integrated.
I would like to ask a question about like how everyone feels about like veganism and like being a vegetarian, and like, because I feel like a lot of like the main upset right now in consciousness is around the meat industry and how people like yeah, a lot of people in my like around me have been, I personally eat meat. Me and Yanier both do. But like, I feel like a lot of people that I know are really upset about it and like completely not eating meat at all. So I'm just curious, like, where you guys think we're headed. Like, yeah. I guess I just want like clarity around that.
I think they're just misinformed about their purpose. Like obviously cows and things were meant for us to eat, like God made them that way. So to save the cow is silly, because
what else would the cow do?
That's what it's supposed to do.
I think that everyone's more so upset with how we treat the animals. I think that's the bigger upset. And like how we perceive them, like letting them live their purpose and not controlling them to live their purpose. There's a difference there.
I feel like eventually everyone would just eat meat.
I think everyone will end up eating meat at some point. Yeah, like I definitely feel like that's going to end up happening, but it's going to happen when like obviously consciousness heals its relationship with animals and how it treats the animals. Yeah, because like
Andy's got
so
it.
it's like people projecting onto the animals, you think it is? Like,
I think so.
I feel like it's also about recognizing that their soul belongs to God and not getting like attached to the physical, like the upset from the outside.
Yeah, there could be like an upset also like around death, like what you mentioned kind of a little bit, Andy, like this concept. Like death is not really something to be afraid of. It's not horrid or horrible. But yeah, to like traumatize an animal, to kill them, like there's better ways to kill animals, like to eat them, like you know, and like I personally really, this is gonna sound so weird, but like whenever I go to like a Hebrew butcher, like I used to like live in Los Angeles, and there used to be like a butcher that like they like separate their meats and they bless their meats and like all this stuff. And like whenever I would eat that meat, I felt so like good after eating than when like I would just eat like meat from like a Walmart like factory. I would feel sick afterwards. And like there is truly something behind like the feeling that the animal had when you consume it. Like I don't know, I wouldn't say like you're like consuming their feelings, but like there's something to be said about like the honoring of the animal through the process to get to you, to feed you. Like I don't know, there's something there.
Like you're saying, the butcher factory is handling their stuff, or the butcher's handling it better than the factory.
Yeah, it just like feel like it was honoring the animal, and so therefore like, you know, when I ate it, it just tasted better and felt better.
Nikki brought up a great point. I remember a JNS video about it. Yeah. Okay. It's the one where they talk about whether they eat meat or they don't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I actually used to be vegetarian for a little time, the same time you were. And yeah, like it just doesn't make sense. Like it just doesn't, like, you know.
Ajahn said something about this too. I used to be vegan, but it was an attachment I had to suffering. And I really feel that. I feel that because it did not feel good. Like I felt like crap doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. There's a girl in my school who's vegan, and she falls asleep all day. Like she's always tired.
Oh my.
Like extreme. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had to eat
I don't know if
way
it's
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, like, it's just, it just wasn't balance. Good. It's all about balance. And like, you know, just recognizing, you know, food, like, I think it's also like seeing food, not seeing food as your source, but seeing God as your source. I think a lot of times people like have that upset too when they're vegan or vegetarian.
I wanted to say that like it's about also like recognizing that God has provides like enough food for us, and that there are enough animals that have that purpose to provide food for us. So is a kind of a misalignment here that like most of the factories like to sell more food, they put like proteins and stuff to chickens to like make them like artificial in some kind of way.
You're on to something here. Yeah, like there's like this feeling of like not having enough and not trusting God. So therefore, like we need to like, you know, put a bunch of salmon in a pool of water because we know we're not going to find enough salmon in the ocean. Or like, you know, like just these like crazy ideas of like trying to play God instead of just trusting that God's going to provide for us to eat food. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that piece, Andy.
What else did you have to say?
Yeah, it's I feel like it's an upset of lack, like poverty.
I feel that a lot. Yeah, that resonates. Yeah. Cool.
We have some comments about that as well. Sure. Yeah, just people speaking about, you know, hormones, antibiotics, and, you know, just the way that the animals are raised. And when you were talking about the, you know, the Jewish butchery and how you felt, it just reminded me of when I did a yoga course and we would bless the food that was prepared. Like we would like all sing and like really bless it. And I felt so much better eating that food. And it's this gratitude for what God has provided, gratitude for the animal or, you know, the plants or whatever, you know, contribute to your meal, and that's probably also what we're feeling when we're eating food that comes from like more like a mass-produced environment. There isn't gratitude and true partnership in the relationship with the animals that, at the factory or at the, the farm, when you're, supporting sustainable, or locally produced, food, you really have more of a relationship with the person who produces the food. And that person has more of a relationship with the animals. And that's more based on love, not based on taking and on control and lack. So, energetically, just feel into when you buying your food, you can stand in front of the meat section and you can energetically just feel into it. What feels better? And yes, you're not necessarily eating the animal's emotions, but remember, like all things create an energetic imprint. There's like an energy that affects objects and meat. And so if the animal is in an environment that isn't healthy and it's not feeling appreciated and not feeling it can actually live out its purpose, that is gonna, that energetic imprint is gonna affect the food that you're eating. So, and we can just all pick up on that just by feeling into our hearts.
What I do is I bless the food as well, especially when it's like even sheep discounted lunch meat or whatever. Sometimes I do get the sheep meat still for my divine dish meals, But if I end up using them, I clear the energy that is attached to it, and I bless it with good energy, and then I feel much better about it. And I remember Jeff and Shaleia saying something like, the more love that went into the food or meat during the production or creation of it, the better, which makes sense, of course. And at the same time, whatever we add to us externally, does not have power over us. So that really frees me from that energy.
Were there any other comments that came up?
Yeah, there actually were. This topic is clearly something that's of interest to people. There were a lot of things that came up. But what was really interesting as well was just what Arjun said about, like wild game, free range and organic meat that tastes very clean. So just echoing what we've already said and just seeing how much love is put into those animals. And Aubrey mentioned that it's a higher vibration. So just like we've all been picking up on, and something I wanted to mention that Aubrey said earlier is that she said that the sermon reminded her of the creation story in Genesis and how God placed Adam and Eve in Eden as stewards of creation and how they lived in alignment and divine communication with animals before the fall. And that's really at the heart of all of this, whether it's food, whether it's pets. We are stewards of creation and we're in divine communication with all of these animals. And we need to honor and love and appreciate that relationship, irrespective of the form that it takes. And having that radical non-attachment about how that should look. Being fully present with God in each moment, present with each animal and each thing that's in our lives.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
What came up to my mind now all of a sudden is like, I wonder what like the purpose of dinosaurs was.
That's really good. And the fact that they're not here anymore. I'm feeling into that. Yeah, like I think it was like also just like a representation of lack because they were so big, and a representation of fear because they were just so ginormous and scary and like, and thinking about it, no, but seriously thinking about it also like the time, like the people had like fire and, bones and like, sticks and wore very little clothing, and like they were very, they were not at like where we are today, obviously. Consciousness was healing a lot around separation. They were deeply in separation, and so, and yet also one with the land too, right? But yeah, I think it represented fear. I think it represented fear. I think it represented them feeling like their power was something grander, bigger. I think that's even like how they perceived God. When you look at some of the cave drawings and things like that, like they perceived God as this like figure in the sky that could smite them. So I think that was just a representation of that. And as we kind of came to a place where we, weren't fearing animals that way anymore, and it wasn't necessary, and they just became extinct. And they ended up becoming new animals, right? Like a lot of dinosaurs turned into birds or lizards, and those kinds of animals. Anybody else have a perspective on that?
I mean, I for some reason, like what came up was like dinosaurs are cool. Like they're really cool. Like they turned into this like kind of iconic like children's toy for some reason. I don't know. And but yeah, they like used to like wipe out like cities and like countries and like, yeah, it was like crazy. Jurassic Park. That's what comes up for me when I think about dinosaurs.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's been like used as a fear tactic. It's the same way as like sharks too, like I mentioned before, right? Like there's some animals that like we just, people just feel afraid of. But I think it's just to trigger us in like our fears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the purposes of dinosaurs were also like, for example, whenever like I hear the word of dinosaurs, it gives me a feeling of my childhood, like, and I guess like the most of the people that are like grown-ups feel that, and there's some kind of purpose like for that generation in dinosaurs.
So we actually have a comment from Arjun saying that he feels that dinosaurs played a part in Earth's foundation. They had a purpose and left when their purpose was complete. And that feels really good to me. And like feeling into when you guys were talking about this, I was just kind of struck by this as a sense of just being aware of the larger scale and purpose of the universe. And really, again, like having that non-attachment. Seeing how rapidly things can change, like when you look at evolution, when you look at the kind of like the range of, looks and appearances and sizes that life can take for, shape as. When we release those attachments to what it should look like and feel like, we're in that realm of the imagination and like really in God's like playground, and really see that no matter if that happened like so many years ago, like God is still creating all sorts of interesting things. And when we release that attachment, species might go extinct, and that's okay, because God has a purpose here, and something else will come up in that place to fulfill a function. So yeah.
Don't the fossils turn into rocks? Is that true? Like, because if yes, that's really cool. Like that could have been part of like the purpose of dinosaurs, like creating Earth, nature. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I believe fossils, it's just fossils are just rocks that have imprints of of knowledge around that they existed, and like having like the blueprint or the imprint into the rock of the actual creature itself, so that you could get information about like what lived back in that day. But yeah, I mean, like essentially all of their matter cannot be destroyed. So, their body is somehow now still here, but in the rocks and the soil and whatever, because they, yeah. So that would make sense if it was the foundation.
I just had this image.
Said
Sorry.
fossils turn into petroleum, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I just had this image of like, building on what Arjun said about foundation. I just had this picture of like, when we're constructing something, we use really big machinery, like big, massive bulldozers, or, even in mines, there are absolutely gigantic machinery, like pieces of machinery. And in a way, dinosaurs are kind of like the big bulldozers that were just like, circulating matter around the earth and fertilizing the soil through all sorts of things. And just makes sense to me thinking about it like that.
Oh my God, that makes a lot of sense. That feels really cool. Yeah. Interesting how it's different than what was perceived back in, like perceived based off of storytelling that we've seen around dinosaurs. That's cool. I like that. Awesome. Well, is there anything else, or does this feel complete to you guys? Good. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed the sermon. If you didn't get to catch it, make sure that you go and watch the video on our Church of Union YouTube, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.